We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Qatar suspends its role as key mediator for a Gaza ceasefire deal, says would resume work if parties willing and serious. US President Joe Biden invites President-elect Donald Trump at the White House on Wednesday. Russian President Putin signs into law mutual defense treaty with North Korea. And in sports, Indian cricket team set to clash against South Africa in the second T20 International. And on to the details this hour. Qatar has suspended its role as a key mediator for a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Qatar's foreign ministry in a statement on Saturday said that its efforts in mediating a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas were currently stalled. The statement further said it would resume its role when Hamas and Israel show their willingness to negotiate. Well, the Gulf country has also been working alongside the United States and Egypt for months on fruitless talks to broker a ceasefire in the year-long conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. The latest round of talks in mid-October failed to produce a deal, with Hamas rejecting a short-term ceasefire proposal. Israel has previously rejected some proposals for longer truces. Disagreements have centered on the long-term future of Hamas and Israel's presence in Gaza. Also, Israeli protesters expressed concern for hostages in Gaza on Saturday after Qatar said it was pulling back as a key mediator for a ceasefire that would help bring the captives home. Thousands of people rallied in Tel Aviv, holding signs reading 400. Those are the number of days since the hostages were taken when Hamas attacked southern Israel on October 7th last year. Well, the protesters once more were demanding that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu secure a deal to release the hostages taken by Hamas. Israelis have been protesting weekly to pressure their government to do more to secure the captives' release.
Us is a chaos because they were the lead connection to the Hamas leadership in Qatar and the Hamas leadership in Gaza. And now without them, we don't know who's going to be in charge of this thread connection, if it's going to be the Turkish, if it's going to be the Egyptian, if it's going to be anyone else. But a chaos and another delay in hostage release would be very bad for us, and we don't know who's going to talk to them.
Well, DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us for more on this. Well, Akshay, good morning. Let me ask you first, after months of fruitless talks, Qatar suspends the mediation efforts on Gaza. And on the other hand, Israelis fear for hostages as hundreds gathered in Tel Aviv. Where do you see all this going?
Well, Lipakshi, certainly the kind of developments that have come now in West Asia are quite interesting. And, while a lot of people are not saying it aloud, but there seems also to be a ripple effect of the Trump presidency and the change of the president in the United States of America, the winning of Donald Trump as the US president once again. And clearly, a lot of dynamics in the West Asian region are going to change as a result. Now, Qatar was hosting a lot of Hamas leaders as far as these negotiations are concerned. Most of, in fact, the Hamas leaders, especially the top leadership, has been living in Qatar, in Qatari cities, and that is what seems to be changing at this point of time, because the kind of ire that Qatar expects from the Trump presidency of hosting these Hamas leadership seems to have resulted in this decision that has been taken by the government of Qatar. In fact, there were also reports coming in, though not have been clearly substantiated by the Qatari leadership, that Qatar will also be sending the Hamas leadership out of its country. So Qatar will not be hosting the Hamas leadership anymore in its country. And while these allegations were raised in form of questions to the Qatari leadership, the only response that came was that the report seems to be inaccurate. But what exactly is the decision of the Qatari leadership, that is unclear. The Qatari leadership does realize that holding, or rather hosting, the Hamas leadership is going to be, in fact, counterproductive when it comes to setting up its dynamics with the upcoming U.S. President Donald Trump is concerned. Qatar may, in fact, face ire of Donald Trump for hosting the Hamas leadership. And while the decision that the Qatar leadership has taken from pulling back from the role of a mediator, that this seems to be, from what they have explained, the reason behind it, according to the Qatari leadership, is that both of them are not serious for these negotiations, but behind the curtains, the reason seems to be something else.
Right. Also, Akshay, to tell our viewers, it is believed that about 97 of the 251 hostages abducted by Hamas on October 7th last year remain in Gaza, including the bodies of some confirmed dead by the IDF. Well, Akshay, also Iran urged Trump, meanwhile, to reconsider the maximum pressure policy he pursued against Tehran during his first term, with its foreign minister also warning that the conflicts in Gaza and Lebanon could spill over beyond West Asia.
Well, yes, like when it comes to the Qatari leadership, Lipakshi, a lot of dynamics are going to change, not just for Qatar, but several other countries in West Asia as well. We are talking about Iran as a particular point of interest because Iran is now directly involved in this conflict with Israel. Iran has been in deals with Donald Trump in the past as well. Donald Trump during his 45th presidency of the U.S. president, he did use the maximum pressure policy on Iran, which was in fact a pressure tactic that was used by the U.S. government for Iran to yield to the demands that were being made by the U.S. government. However, it remains to be seen that how dynamics change when it comes to U.S. President Donald Trump and his new policies in West Asia. While clear kind of allegations have already been made when it comes to assassination attempts on Donald Trump, that Iran has been involved at certain level. Right. Iranian leadership has said that these are false allegations. However, how different is going to be Trump policies towards Iran this time around? That remains to be seen. But Iran expects the policies to be more lenient and to be more moderate. But that is highly unlikely, given the fact that during the election campaigns as well, Donald Trump has been talking about further restrictions or stronger actions when it comes to the region.
Right. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all those details. And moving on, U.S. President Joe Biden will meet with President-elect Donald Trump at the White House on Wednesday, after the U.S. leader pledged an orderly transfer of power back to the Republican he beat in elections just 4 years ago. Well, a White House statement said Biden and Trump would meet in the Oval Office at 11 a.m. at the outgoing president's invitation. Such a post-election meeting is traditional between the outgoing president and the incoming president. However, Trump, a Republican, did not host Biden, a Democrat, for such a meeting after he lost the election in 2020. And also, President-elect Donald Trump announced on Saturday that former Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley or former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo won't be part of his second administration. In a social media post, Trump expresses gratitude for their past contributions in service to the nation, noting that he enjoyed working with both of them. Haley, who served as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations during Trump's term, had previously endorsed him for re-election despite having been a vocal critic of him during the Republican primaries. Pompeo, meanwhile, held the position of CIA director under Trump before becoming the Secretary of State. And Donald Trump won the state of Arizona in this week's U.S. presidential election, completing the Republican sweep of all 7 swing states. After 4 days of counting in the southwest state with a large Hispanic population, CNN and NBC projected Trump had obtained its 11 electoral votes. The other 6 swing states won by Trump in the presidential race are Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada and Georgia. Also in 2020, Joe Biden defeated Trump by winning 6 of the 7 swing states and narrowly losing North Carolina, and won 306 electoral college votes to Trump's 232. Now, after Congress certifies the electoral college vote on January 6th, Trump and his incoming Vice President, U.S. Senator J.D. Vance, are due to take office on the 20th of January next year. Also, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump announced on Saturday the formation of an inaugural committee which would plan and celebrate his inauguration on January 20, 2025. Trump secured a second term in the White House after winning the U.S. presidential election on November 5th, marking a significant comeback following his loss to President Joe Biden in the 2020 election. The inauguration is organized by the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies and will include events such as the swearing-in ceremony, inaugural address, and the pass-in review. Well, the inauguration day occurs every 4 years on January 20th or January 21st, if 20th of January falls on a Sunday, at the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. And now, DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh joins us from Washington, D.C. for more on this. Well, Shubhendu, Trump has won Arizona, sweeping all the 7 swing states. How close are the Republicans in getting full hold on the House?
Hello, Lipakshi. Yes, a big win, and the nature of win is becoming clear with each passing day. All 7 swing states, which were considered key to this contest, have now been backed by Donald Trump. Some over 90 seats were up for grabs, all of them taken by Donald Trump. Talks volumes about the manner of election that he's had. Talking about the House of Representatives, the Republicans are also inching closer to a thin majority. They were defending a thin majority in the House of Representatives. They've already flipped the Senate and taken it. The score as of now stands, as the news is coming in, 213 for Republicans and 205 seats for the Democrats. 218, remember, is the halfway mark that Republicans would seek to cross or achieve. And once they do, Republicans would be controlling the Senate, the House of Representatives, and of course, the presidency in the form of Donald Trump, the 47th president. Hugely significant for the legislative agenda that Donald Trump and the Republicans would have for the days ahead. But it's a slim margin, 218, still about 5 seats away, a close contest on. We'll have to wait and watch how that pans out. Lipakshi?
Also, Shubhendu, Donald Trump has announced the formation of an inaugural committee which would plan and celebrate his inauguration on the 20th of January next year. Could you tell us more about that?
The inauguration ceremony is always a very, very special one. It's a transition of power. And in this case here, the transition is of a very significant kind from a Democrat president, a Republican president who's just swept the elections, is going to be inaugurated. And the preparation for the inauguration, the physical preparation, the stage and all such arrangements, in fact, have been taking place even before the election day. We've been reporting from in front of the White House. It's been barricaded completely. There are different stages being set. 2 people are important, Steve Witkoff and former Senator Kelly Loeffler. These are the 2 Republican who are responsible for organizing this inauguration program. It's a formal program which includes taking oath, as you mentioned, by the new president. But Donald Trump has also spoken about how the inauguration, he hopes, would also capture the historically important moment that it represents and the tradition that the Republican Party upholds, tradition and values. So we'll have to wait and watch in what ways those elements could be captured. It's a mammoth win for Donald Trump, support from across various demographies. So we'll have to see what kind of people-to-people engagement also could be reflected in this inauguration. But those details will follow. Lipakshi?
Absolutely. Also, Shubhendu, what more can you tell us about Trump's cabinet? Any further developments as he announced Nikki Haley or Mike Pompeo won't be a part of his second administration?
Right, he's mentioned who's not going to be part. Susie Wiles is, of course, the only name that has been confirmed so far as the chief of staff. There are some names doing round, Hipakshi, but all in the realm of speculation. For Attorney General, we hearing the name of Texas Attorney Ken Paxton. For Homeland Security, there's a name, Tom Homan. He's a former immigration head for Donald Trump, and he could be roped in to take care of the Homeland Security. Two names which are prominent in terms of their popularity in the media is Elon Musk is one. His investments, both in person and in terms of funds in Donald Trump's campaign, was for everyone to notice. There could be a new department, Department of Government Efficiency, which was being talked about that Elon Musk could possibly head. There is, of course, there's also the name of Robert Kennedy Jr. His name has been spoken about as far as the health sector is concerned. Although he's not a doctor, but in that sector, his contribution could be, in fact, taken into account. He also made space for Donald Trump, and he directed his votes as a presidential contestant towards Donald Trump. Marco Rubio, his name is an interesting one that's doing round. He could, in fact, be roped in for an important profile. Kash Patel, Indian Americans are also in focus. Kash Patel, Kashyap Patel could be a possible CIA head. There are other Indian American candidates as well. Vivek Ramaswamy is another candidate, very popular, who's very passionately been supporting the MAGA, Make America Great Again movement, and has been a vocal supporter of Donald Trump after being his challenger earlier.
All right, Shubhendu, thank you so much for giving us all those details. And moving on, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi denied US charges that Tehran was linked to an alleged plot to kill Donald Trump. Araghchi, in a social media post on Saturday, has called for confidence building between the two countries. Earlier, Iran's foreign ministry described as totally unfounded US accusations of a plot by Tehran to assassinate President-elect Donald Trump. The foreign ministry, in a statement, rejected allegations that Iran is implicated in an assassination attempt targeting former or current American officials. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Preparations for COP29 are their final stage in Azerbaijan to discuss ways to check global emissions from November 11th to 22nd. Thousands protest in Spain's Valencia over handling of deadly floods. And Festival of Remembrance at London's Royal Albert Hall. Catherine and Kate joins Prince William and King Charles at Britain's annual Remembrance Festival.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. Lepakshi Khuranan. Moving on, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday signed a decree that turned a treaty on a country's strategic partnership with North Korea involving a mutual defense provision into a law. The accord, announced by Russian President and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in June after a summit in Pyongyang, calls on each side to come to the other's aid in case of an armed attack. The decree making the partnership law appeared on an official website outlining legislative procedures. The treaty was ratified by Russia's parliament. The treaty further deepens relations between Moscow and Pyongyang. Reports from Ukraine, South Korea and USA, North Korea supplied Russia with weaponry. Well, on the other hand, Ukraine's top military commander, Alexander Syrsky, said on Saturday that there were reports North Korean troops were preparing for combat alongside Russian forces. Syrsky said the situation in frontline sectors with Russia remained difficult and showed signs of escalation. President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine's military command was focused on defending around the town of Kurakovo, a target of Russia's advances, along with Pokrovsk, a logistical hub to the north. He decried strikes on civilian targets and urged European countries to provide more air defense systems. And Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk will meet France's President, Britain's Prime Minister, the head of NATO and leaders of Nordic and Baltic states soon to discuss transatlantic cooperation and the war in Ukraine. The future of aid to Ukraine is among the major questions facing the European Union after Donald Trump's US election victory. Well, Poland is the next door neighbor and main transit nation to Ukraine.
In the coming days, we will very intensely coordinate cooperation with countries that have a very similar view on the geopolitical and transatlantic situation and situation in Ukraine. We can shortly expect a visit of the President of France in Warsaw, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, or my visit to London. We are still discussing this.
Well, the EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell on Saturday reassured Ukraine of Europe's unwavering support days after Donald Trump's election win cast uncertainty over its efforts. Borrell, the first top EU official to visit Kyiv since Trump's win, said that the purpose of his visit was to stress EU support for Ukraine against Russia. Now, so far, European Union has already provided $131 billion in military and financial support to Ukraine and trained about 60,000 Ukrainian soldiers. Support from Western allies has been key to Ukraine's ability to defend itself against Russia's much larger and better equipped enemy.
The clear purpose of this visit is to stress the European Union support to Ukraine. This support remains unwavering. This support is absolutely needed for you to continue defending yourself against Russia's aggression.
Well, moving on, Mauritius began voting on Sunday in a close-fought election race that has been clouded by a wiretapping scandal in a nation usually touted as one of Africa's most stable and prosperous democracies. The campaigning has been tense and police have been deployed at polling stations to ensure security. Parties have promised to tackle a cost of living crisis in the Indian Ocean archipelago. The legislative poll in the country follows a historic agreement last month that saw Britain cede sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius following a long-running dispute. Now, in response to the scandal, the authorities on the 1st of November announced the social media ban until after the election. But following an uproar from the opposition and local media, the decision was called off within 24 hours. Now, the battle for control of the 70-seat National Assembly is being played out between two main blocs, Jagnath's militant socialist movement and its allies, and the Alliance of Change, led by former Prime Minister Navin Ramgoolam. Voting will close at 1400 GMT and results are expected on Monday. An Ecuador government has temporarily suspended Vice President Veronica Abbott from office just 3 months before next year's elections, in which President Daniel Noboa will seek another term. Abbott, who is also the South American country's ambassador to Israel, is accused of committing a serious disciplinary offense by failing to comply with an order from the Foreign Ministry to leave Israel and travel to Turkey before September 1st due to security concerns during the conflict in Gaza. Also, electoral campaigns in Ecuador are scheduled to begin in January, and where President Noboa would have to leave the vice president in a post in order to participate. Gunmen killed 15 people in an attack on a northwest Nigerian village amid reports of a newly arrived jihadist group operating in the area. Now, Nigeria has been plagued by armed violence since the 2009. Armed bandits and kidnap gangs have also spread chaos across the region. Also, the unrest has spread to northwest Nigeria and contributed to a looming famine. Due to the persistent riots, UN agencies say Nigeria could see 33 million people facing acute food insecurity by the next year. And moving on, preparations for COP29 are entering their final stages in Azerbaijan that will be held between November 11th to 22nd. The climate conference is supposed to discuss ways to check global emissions due to use of planet-heating fossil fuels continue to rise, despite many nations facing devastating floods, droughts, heat waves and storms. This event in Azerbaijan's Baku will bring together world leaders, climate negotiators, environmental activists and experts from across the globe to tackle the pressing issue of climate change and accelerate global efforts to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. Now, Azerbaijan, which is hosting COP29, has been ramping up efforts to ensure the success of this conference. Also, Brazil announced details of its new climate change pledge that sets a target to lower the country's greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2035, which it will present during the United Nations Climate Summit COP29 in Azerbaijan. Brazil's new target aims to reduce emissions by 59% to 67% by 2035 as compared to 2005. Also, the government statement said that this commitment will allow Brazil to move towards climate neutrality by the year 2050. Also, the announcement comes as Brazil is one of the biggest emitters of climate-warming carbon dioxide. The UN has said countries must do more to reach target to limit their global temperature rises to 1.5 degrees Celsius in order to avoid catastrophic climate change. Also, Canada has detected its first presumptive case of H5 bird flu in a teenager in the western province of British Columbia. The teenager likely caught the virus from a bird or animal. H5 bird flu is widespread in wild birds worldwide and is causing outbreaks in poultry and U.S. dairy cows, with several recent human cases in U.S. dairy and poultry workers. Investigation had been initiated to determine the source of exposure and identify any contacts. Thousands of protesters filled the streets of Valencia on Saturday, demanding accountability for the government's handling of catastrophic floods that have claimed the lives of more than 220 people and leaving nearly 80 people still missing. Many called for the resignation of regional leader Carlos Mazon, accusing him of mishandling the crisis. Protesters claimed that Mazon issued an alert too late, hours after water had already inundated villages across the region. Thousands also marched in other Spanish cities on Saturday to protest. Moving on, Britain's royal family attended the annual Festival of Remembrance at London's Royal Albert Hall, where Britain's Catherine, Princess of Wales, took a significant step in her recovery from cancer as she attended her first major royal occasion since ending chemotherapy. Whereas, as per the reports, Queen Camilla did not join the royals at key royal events after getting sick with a chest infection. The Royal British Legends annual event commemorates the British and Commonwealth Armed Forces community, honouring those who have served and sacrificed their lives in World War I. And moving on, Aida Robot, a pioneering humanoid artist, has set a new record with the sale of her artwork at Sotheby's digital art sale. The portrait, named AI God, fetched $1.85 million. The sale marks first sale for a humanoid robot's artwork, underscoring the growing integration of artificial intelligence in the art market. And still to come on DD India News Hour. In India's Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist was killed in an encounter with security forces in Baramulla's Sopore. The Kartarpur Sahib corridor between India and Pakistan completes 5 years, agreement renewed for another 5. And the International Film Festival of India 2024 announces the launch of Fiesta, a vibrant entertainment extravaganza in Panjim, Goa from 21st to 28th of November. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran. Time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Qatar suspends its role as key mediator for a Gaza ceasefire deal, says would resume work if parties willing and serious. US President Joe Biden invites President-elect Donald Trump at the White House on Wednesday. Russian President Putin signs into law mutual defense treaty with North Korea. And in sports, Indian cricket team set to clash against South Africa in the second T20 International. And moving on, updates on state assembly elections now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a mega road show in eastern India's Jharkhand. Several senior leaders of the BJP will also participate in the road show to be held in Ranchi. Last week, PM Modi addressed rallies on November 5th, a day after India's Home Minister Amit Shah released the BJP's manifesto for Jharkhand assembly polls. Jharkhand will vote in two phases, with 43 constituencies going to the polls on November 13th and 38 constituencies on November 20th. The votes for both assembly elections will be counted on the 23rd of November. And Ministry of External Affairs Secretary East Jaideep Majumdar and BIMSTEC Secretary General Indramani Pandey signed an agreement to establish the BIMSTEC Energy Centre in South India's Bengaluru. The agreement paves the way towards strengthened energy cooperation, including inter-grid connectivity in the region. Well, as a part of its capacity-building engagements with friendly foreign nations of the Indian Ocean region, India has gifted 2 water jet-propelled fast interceptor craft to Mozambique. The FICs were transshipped from India by INS Gharial. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of National Defence, Augusto Casimiro Muyo, formally accepted the vessels on behalf of the government of Mozambique. These water jet-propelled boats have a top speed of 45 knots and a range of 200 nautical miles at 12 knots. Also, they can carry a crew of 5 personnel and are equipped with machine guns and bullet-resistant cabins. The 2 FICs will significantly aid the government of Mozambique in its effort to combat maritime terrorism and ongoing insurgency in the Cabo Delgado province. Earlier, to bolster the efforts of the government of Mozambique for maritime security, the government of India had gifted 2 large interceptor vessels in 2019, followed by 2 FICs of the same class in January 2022. And first Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, Denis Manturov, will make a working visit to India. As part of the visit, the first Deputy PM of Russia will take part in the plenary session of the Russian-Indian Business Forum in Mumbai. The event is aimed at expanding cooperation ties between entrepreneurs of 2 countries. The visiting Russian dignitary, along with India's External Affairs Minister, will hold the 25th session of the Intergovernmental Russian-Indian Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific, Technical and Cultural Cooperation. As part of his visit, the first Deputy Prime Minister also has a number of bilateral meetings planned. And in India's Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 1 terrorist was killed in the ongoing operation with security forces in Baramulla, Sopore on Saturday evening. The Indian Army, in a post on social media platform X, said that 1 terrorist has been neutralized by the security forces in the ongoing operation. Acting on a specific input regarding the presence of terrorists in Sopore area of Baramulla, a joint anti-terrorist operation was launched by the police and security forces. During the search operation, an exchange of fire took place. The search operation is meanwhile underway. Well, an exchange of fire erupted between terrorists and security forces in the Ishbar area of central Kashmir's Srinagar district on Sunday morning. Now, according to a senior police official, the encounter began after a joint team of police and security forces launched a cordon and search operation in the area, acting on a specific intelligence input received earlier in the morning. Also, the operation was ongoing at the time of this report. Further details are still awaited. Moving on, security arrangements are being made across land, water and air for the upcoming Mahakumbh in North India's Prayagraj. The city situated on the banks of Ganges in Uttar Pradesh, Prayagraj, is going to become the center of cultural celebration. In a first to prevent any untoward incidents during the bathing rituals, the water police are being equipped with high-tech jet skis, often referred to as mini ships. Now, the role of water police is very crucial. To ensure the safety of all visiting pilgrims and saints, these high-speed mini vessels are being deployed for the first time. Mahakumbh starts with Posh Purnima Snan, which is on 13th of January 2025. The Kumbh festival will conclude with the last bath on 26 February 2025, the day of Mahashivratri. And the Kartarpur Sahib corridor between India and Pakistan has completed 5 years on Saturday. The corridor leads to the Gurudwara Sri Kartarpur Sahib in the Narowal district of Pakistan, where the first Sikh Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, spent the last 18 years of his life. The corridor was inaugurated by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on November 9, 2019 at Dera Baba Nanak in Gurdaspur on the occasion of the 550th Prakash Purab of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Millions of devotees have visited this historical Gurudwara over the past 5 years. India and Pakistan renewed their agreement in October this year to operate the Kartarpur corridor and facilitate pilgrims from India to visit the Kartarpur Sahib Gurudwara for another 5 years. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote an op-ed to pay rich tributes to the late Indian industrialist and philanthropist Ratan Tata, who passed away almost a month ago. The Prime Minister spoke about Tata's care for the most vulnerable, his patriotism, his love for animals, devotion for healthcare, and his inspirational leadership to shape India's future, besides mentoring startups. The Prime Minister said that Ratan Tata represented the finest traditions of Indian enterprise. Take a look.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid rich tribute to industrialist and philanthropist Ratan Tata. In an op-ed in a national daily, Prime Minister spoke about Ratan Tata's care for most vulnerable, his patriotism, love for animal, devotion for healthcare, and his inspirational leadership to shape India's future. Prime Minister wrote, "For the youth, Shri Ratan Tata was an inspiration, a reminder that dreams are worth pursuing and that success can coexist with compassion as well as humility. For others, he represented the finest traditions of Indian enterprise and a steadfast commitment to the values of integrity, excellence and service." Prime Minister also highlighted that in recent years, Ratan Tata became known for mentoring the country's startup ecosystem, investing in many promising ventures. Prime Minister wrote, "He understood the hopes and aspirations of young entrepreneurs and recognized the potential they had to shape India's future. By backing their efforts, he empowered a generation of dreamers to take bold risks and push boundaries." Prime Minister also spoke about Ratan Tata's patriotism and his love for the nation, saying that Ratan Tata's patriotism shone brightest in times of crisis. Prime Minister said that, "For crores of Indians, Shri Ratan Tata's patriotism shone brightest in times of crisis. His swift reopening of the iconic Taj Hotel in Mumbai after the 26/11 terror attacks was a rallying call to the nation. India stands united, refusing to yield to terrorism." Prime Minister also spoke about his compassion for all living beings, which included his deep love for animals. Prime Minister wrote that his deep love for animals was well known and he supported every possible effort focused on animal welfare. He often shared photos of his dogs, who were as much a part of his life as any business venture. Besides, Prime Minister also highlighted Ratan Tata's dedication for healthcare and his effort for fight against cancer. Prime Minister recalled a program in Assam 2 years ago, where Prime Minister and Ratan Tata had jointly inaugurated various cancer hospitals in the state. Prime Minister wrote that his efforts to make health and cancer care accessible and affordable were rooted in a profound empathy for those battling diseases, believing that a just society was one that stood by its most vulnerable. Paying tribute to Ratan Tata, Prime Minister said that he constantly championed excellence, urging Indian enterprises to set global benchmarks. Prime Minister expressed hope that this vision will inspire future leaders to make India synonymous with world-class quality. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
Well, the International Film Festival of India 2024 has announced the launch of IFI Esta, a vibrant entertainment extravaganza designed to bring communities together through the magic of films, food, art and interactive experiences. The event will be hosted at the Kala Academy in Panjim, Goa from 21st to 28th of November. In a statement, India's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting said that this cultural event will feature a wide array of attractions. It also informed that early bird delegate registration will remain open till November 10th, which will give access to all events, including the week-long festivities of IFI Esta. Well, moving on, India's gems and jewellery sector hold a prominent position in the global market. They contribute significantly to the economy with 7% of GDP and employ over 5 million people. The yellow metals appeal as a haven investment and a perfect hedge against inflation is likely to continue into the next year. So what makes India's gold tick in the world? DD India's Anil Thomas has these details.
The gems and jewellery sector in India has a profound history in the country's culture. It has expanded itself to become a global market and is set to see substantial growth driven by sweeping government reforms.
It's about the cultural identity of India as well, where, our designs are specific and worldwide they appreciate it, and they send a message across the world that India has a niche in this sector.
Gold has hit 42 record highs in 2024 and continues to be a precious metal in the markets. The yellow metal hit a record of 78,000 rupees in the current year.
The momentum on gold has been very strong in 2024. We've seen 42 peaks of the gold price through the year, largely driven, as you rightly said, by geopolitics. There's a lot of central bank buying, but also the financial markets.
The All India Gem and Jewellery Domestic Council believes that the prevailing global economic uncertainties and geopolitical tensions help position gold as a secure investment and an effective hedge against inflation.
And it's really driven by the fact that people are fearful of what's happening in the world, geopolitics, uncertainties. So people are investing more and more money in gold, and that's why we've seen the gold price go up so much.
There is a growth of 15 to 20%, which is to be seen from 2008. We've already written it in different magazines that 915% people have got returns in gold, 615% in silver, and only 815% in the capital markets.
Another feather in India's growth story in this sector has been the Gem and Jewellery Export Promotion Council. Their recent initiatives, such as the IJEX in Dubai and strategic trade collaborations in the Middle East, have held the MSME sector find wings. India's gold designs are famous globally for their excellent craftsmanship and bright traditions. However, there are challenges like finding reliable suppliers for raw materials and skilled artisans in this sector.
India has a huge potential of exports, of growing our business all over the world, and everyone is looking at India, but the roots have to be made stronger, and karigars are the roots.
The children of those great karigars, they don't want to get into this because it is much better to get a class 10 or class 12 degree and go join a call center because they find it more dignified. Somehow we have to bring back the dignity and the prestige.
Gold is a vital portfolio hedge during downturns. However, the prices are likely to see an upsurge in the present future. Gold has been a timeless allure for Indian consumers, but now this trend is seen overseas too. Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
While moving on, India's Power Minister Manohar Lal flagged off an electric vehicle rally in New Delhi, marking a significant push towards sustainable transportation. The event aims to raise awareness about the environmental benefits of electric vehicles and encourage their adoption among the public. The rally saw a large participation of EV owners, manufacturers and enthusiasts who showcased a wide range of electric vehicles from two-wheelers to cars. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. India's world-famous Pushkar Fair began on Saturday with the flag-hoisting ceremony in Ajmer city. Hundreds of domestic and foreign tourists have reached to witness this fair, which will continue till November 15th. Indian Society for Development of Rural Literature launched the 10th Chilika Shell Duck International Folk Carnival 2024 in eastern state Odisha. The 5-day celebration pays tribute to Asia's vast cultural heritage. Set along the picturesque Chilika Lake, the festival unites rhythms, colors and flavors from across Asia, creating a unique convergence of folk traditions and contemporary cultural exchanges. Toxic foam seen floating on the Yamuna River in Kalandi Kunj, Delhi on Sunday. The pollution level in the river continues to remain very high. Visuals also show a layer of smog in the area's air quality remains in the very poor category as per the Central Pollution Control Board. The Tibet Museum holds a temporary exhibition titled Rivers of the Sky in North Indian hill town Dharamshala. The exhibition offers a deep exploration into the spiritual, cultural and environmental significance of the Himalayan region. This exhibition is an annual event that attracts tourists from all over the country as well as international participants who come to display their creativity and skill. And still to come in DD India News Hour. Coco Gauff becomes the youngest player to win the World Tennis Finals title in 20 years. After a week of thrilling adventure in the skies of Bir Billing in Himachal Pradesh's Kangra, the Paragliding World Cup 2024 concluded on Saturday. And we'll also show you how Germany marked a 1989 Berlin Wall fall with Preserve Freedom Party.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. Lepakshi Kuraran on to some sports news now. The Young Indian Brigade will once again be in action when they clash against South Africa in the second T20 International four-match series in Geopolitical on Sunday. Sanju Samson will look to continue his domination of the bowlers, but India needs more stability in the top order during their clash with South Africa in the match with an aim to extend their superior run in the shortest format. Samson's stunning 107 off 50 balls powered India to a commanding 61-run victory in the series opener, but the lack of runs from other key batters remains a concern for the visitors. And India's Narayan Singh joins us for more on this. Well, Narayan, after 2 consecutive centuries, Sanju Samson's recent T20 international centuries are a testament to his consistency, positioning him as a key player for the coming T20 World Cup 2026. Your take on that?
Well, definitely, Pakshi, the way he performed in the recently in the T20 international, definitely we can say that it's kudos to him, and it's looking like that Sanju Samson have finally cracked the code how to bat in the international T20s. If you take a look at his career, he started his international career, we can say that it's a decade long, but he was never consistent during that period. He played at all the numbers, down the order, middle order, and also we can say the up the order. But finally, as an opener, he showed that what kind of player he is, and he also showed that why the selectors kept faith on him.
Right.
And 200 in different conditions, one in Hyderabad and one in Durban. And definitely, it shows that where the Indian cricket is going. Indian cricket has the great bench strength, and this win came in the absence of the veterans who got retired from the T20, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli and Ravindra Jadeja.
Absolutely. Also, Narayan, as you mentioned, a dominant performance by Indian cricket team at 61 runs against South Africa T20 series. But the Team India is in a transitional phase, if we talk about that, and doing indeed well with the young guns. What do you have to say about that?
It's true that we saw that if this year India has played 23 T20 matches and they won 22, and one loss that is against Zimbabwe back in July after the India won the T20 World Cup. And if you take a look, the journey of both the team, India and South Africa, both played the final of the T20 World Cup. Both were unbeaten in their group, topped their respective group, and India eventually won the World Cup. But there was little to separate the two teams at the T20 World Cup final. But after that, the fortune takes different paths for both the teams. India on a winning streak of the 11 matches right now. And after that, we take a look at the South Africa. They are struggling. They lost the series against West Indies 3-0, drew a series against Ireland. But without the veterans, we can say that without Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli and Ravindra Jadeja, there is a smoothness and a seamless transition under Surya Kumar Yadav, and the kind of batting they are doing, the kind of the way they are gelling with each other. That's a big thing for the Indian team, and we are hoping that finally the golden run especially in the T20 cricket has been started again. And we can say that after India lost the series, India after being whitewashed against the New Zealand, it's we can say the good thing for the Indian cricket team and the Indian cricket fans too, the way they are batting. If they manages to win today's match, the winning streak will be 12, and India's previous best winning streak was 12 that they achieved twice. So we are hoping that this golden run, the winning run continues, and Indian T20 cricket continues this domination in the world cricket.
All right, definitely a smooth and seamless transition there. Thank you so much, Narayan, for all those updates. And moving on, Bangladesh beat Afghanistan by 68 runs in the second one-day international to level the three-match series 1-1 at Sharjah Stadium on Saturday, securing their maiden win at the venue. Bangladesh posted a competitive total of 252 for 7 with the help of a composed 76 from captain Najmul Hussain Shanto. The game was also a must-win for Bangladesh to keep their series hopes alive after a 92-run defeat in the first match. Meanwhile, for Afghanistan, left-arm spinner Nangyalia Karote claimed 3 for 28, effectively disrupting Bangladesh's lower middle order. The third ODI of the series will take place on Monday at the same venue. And Coco Gauff became the youngest player to win the World Tennis Final since Maria Sharapova in 2004, showing supreme determination to beat China's Zheng Quanwen in 3 hours. The 20-year-old is also the first American champion since Serena Williams 10 years ago. Gauff stormed to a 6-0 lead in the final set tie-break for 6 championship points as she eased to victory. Olympic gold medalist and 7th seed Zheng, who was making her WTA Finals debut, won the first set in just under an hour, saving all 5 break points she faced to keep Gauff at bay. However, the American came back from 3-1 down to take the second set. And after a week of thrilling adventure in the skies of Bir Billing in Himachal Pradesh's Kangra district, the Paragliding World Cup 2024 concluded on Saturday. America's Austin Cox secured the first place, while India's Ranjit Singh came second. In the women's category, Poland's Joanna Kokot secured the first place and Germany's Daria Eltikova is second. The paragliding event showcased Bir Billing as a global paragliding destination. This was the second Paragliding World Cup to be held at Bir Billing after 2015. And Germany marks 35 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall with a music and light show at the iconic Brandenburg Gate. The Festival for Freedom, emphasis on togetherness. This year, the celebrations used music and art as a theme, calling on people to unite. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.